What's up? What's up? What's up? We got some big moves coming in the crypto market. We got to talk about what some of this data is. Whales absolutely aping in. We're seeing some consolidation at this moment, but we got the setups in place. For those that have been preparing, throw a one in chat. You're here. You're early, not only in this stream, but you're early in this this is the most impactful technology of our generations. So let's get it. Let's get into it, everybody. I'm Bullish. I want to see everybody throw a good morning in the live chat right now. Where are you tuned in from? What city, what state, what country? Let's dive into it. Let's dive into these charts. We got some magic to share. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. My name is Kelly Kellum. Welcome to the show. I had a wonderful weekend. I got to go outside, shake my legs at a rooftop event on Saturday, hung out Sunday, got some work done. I'm rebuilding the entire BitLab stream setup. So later this week, I will be rolling that out. Everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding the bell. We got to talk about what's going on in this market because Bitcoin is sitting here in a beautiful position, looking at the macro. Look at this. We get so zoomed in on the 1 hour, the 2 hour, the 15-minute, all these somewhat irrelevant time frames when we're understanding where this is going, and this is looking beautiful. I just want to say real quick, everybody throw a one in chat if the audio, visual, everything looking good, sounding good, because I was having an issue this morning. I just want to make sure, right as I was going live, OBS crashed. So I just want to make sure everything is looking good and sounding good. All right, I got a one in chat. Awesome. So coming back here, remember, these are three key levels that we're watching right here. These are the moving averages right here, 21-week moving average, the 200-day moving average, and the short-term holder cost basis. Price action is, I mean, look at this. It's all the way up to about almost $64,000. That's the average price of every coin on chain that moved last within the last 155 days. This is an excellent metric, and I've talked about this before, but let's go ahead. Let's turn that off, actually. Let's look at just the short-term holder cost basis. This is what we're paying attention to in these previous bull cycles. Once we've broken back above this, the price action spreads above, come down, and test. Spread above, come down, test, 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 all the way to the upside. And we're seeing a very similar structure right here. And of course, we're notably consolidating, essentially traveling a little bit sideways as price action is basically testing that previous all-time high level, just like we did here. But man, it's taking a little bit longer time here. Oh, it's the end of the world. Let's be a little bit more patient because things are looking absolutely excellent in this market right now. We can also see the capital flow, large expansion in capital coming into Bitcoin, that fuel that we're talking about for price action to move to the upside. Move to the upside, comes down, test here, and then starting to expand in this region again. And we're only about 50 days or something, 55 days, somewhere within that range, post-halving. We talked about this. I've shared it with you a number of times on this channel that between 40 and 150 days is what we've seen in the last three cycles post-halving. Price action trade sideways, chopping people out that are impatient. And we're within that time frame right now. So what are we in a rush for? This move, when it happens, it happens. It feels very slow. But when you look back, it's like, oh, this was started all the way back here. It was September 2015. And it took from here all the way up here into, December 2017. It took 2 years for the parabola to be fully realized. We could see this is already taking place with where we're at right now. So let's not get too big, of a worry with what's going on right now. Now, looking at the price action, I just want to actually point out, where is it at? Right here. I shared this morning. I actually got the screenshot, 69,420, the magic number in the crypto space. And we can see we had the price action rising in this rising wedge that we were talking about. We also had this symmetrical triangle we broke bullish out of, came back down and tested the resolve of all you bulls and all you bears. Where are the bulls going to come in to defend? So we're going to dive into that. But before we do, there's something tangentially that can be very, very bullish for Bitcoin and risk assets in general. And although it's going to be somewhat negative for other parts of the economy, I think it's going to be very good for Bitcoin, and that is this right here. Petrodollar deal ended yesterday. The 50-year deal between the U.S. And Saudi Arabia to sell oil in dollars is over. This would lead to lower demand of U.S. dollars. What does that mean when we're talking about lower demand for the U.S. dollars? Lower demand for U.S. dollars means that the dollar, when we're looking at that Dixie chart, which is this chart right here, zooming in on this, we want to see something like this. Remember that large movement we started seeing in 2023 into 2024? The dollar was weakening. And what we're seeing right now, the dollar has been consolidating within this as the world is trying to figure out what they're doing about inflation, and some places are doing it better than others. But at some point, money printing is going to have to happen. And when we start seeing, if we think of this like an asset, we think of the dollar like an asset, and all of a sudden there is hundreds of billions of less demand on this. This is going to have an impact on this, likely finding some resistance in this area and rolling over to the downside. Now, if this rolls over to the downside, we've seen in the past historically that that has been ultimately quite good for Bitcoin price action. So we're seeing, some things shifting on the world stage. Some things are afoot, and Bitcoin is already positioned to be that truth network. In this case, we see right here also from Dr. Profit. We've already read that part, but from this day, dollar will come under heavy pressure. US dollar will be printed. Inflation will start rising. Bullish for gold, Bitcoin, stocks, and real estate. Do not, this is not financial advice, but do not be storing your wealth, be saving your money in a bank account that the US government is absolutely just demolishing how much you're worth per hour. Think about it. If you work for 10 years saving all this money and you say you make $50 an hour, $100 an hour, $1,000 an hour, it doesn't matter. When you're storing that wealth in dollars, we see that there's been over a 20% inflation on the cost of life since, I think it's like 6 years ago. Things cost 20% more on average. Don't look at this 2%, 3% nonsense the Fed is feeding you. It's a bunch of bullshit. Things are more expensive. And if you realize that, even if you have the same dollar amount in your bank account, if things are more expensive, effectively you have less money because you have to spend more of it to get the same thing. This is why that separation between the top 1% and the rest of the world and the rest of the public is growing so magnificently. And it just driving inequity between these two different types of participants in the market. I don't want to say smarter. People that are better off financially also have better information around them and understand investing is the only way. In this case, we also have the Bitcoin, which is the best asset in the history of the world that we can participate in. And we do see this it's flirting with the potential breakdown here, but we just looked at the price right here and it is trying to get back above this. If we can get the price back above this support line and ultimately beyond the 71, this line again, but we'll call this top here 71.8, basically $72,000. We're going to look at the liquidation zones here in just a moment. We're going to go into a little bit more detail on some TA here, but not only Bitcoin, we got to talk about Fetch and Ocean Protocol and Singularity, them coming together as ASI. And we also have to talk about Cardano rolling over into Voltaire. We got to talk about Ethereum, balance on exchange, and the probability or the possibility about price action. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. So everybody hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding the bell. We got to dive in to what is going on here. And a special shout out to channel partners Galactics. And then of course, our other channel partners, Arculus right here. Big love to them. Now let's talk about some of these things that we wanted to talk about here. We're worried and we see whales buying Bitcoin like never before. This is that macro chart, but we can see, look at this large impulse. It's not just the ETFs buying. People think, oh no, it's just the ETFs buying. Well, this is where the ETF launched. This is where we had that sell the rumor event, and then it just absolutely mooned. And this whale buying was after this, and this is where we also saw billions of dollars flowing into the ETFs, but preceding this. This is on-chain data showing entities with balances from 100 to 1,000. Now, how many Bitcoin does the ETFs have? Tens of thousands, some case hundreds of thousands. And so what we're seeing here is a huge appetite loading in while price is consolidating at previous all-time high ranges. This is the type of data that we want to pay attention to. We want to follow the whales, not our buddy, not Uncle Hector, not Aunt Linda, not our cousin Marge. Bitcoin's a scam. No, the dollar is the scam. We all realize that if we are here. If you agree with that, throw a bull or throw a Bitcoin or throw something there in the live chat. Shout out to everybody that is here. All right, let's continue on here. Now, this is something that's we talked about this a little bit last week. Finally, Bybit has opened up registration for users in China. If users from China start buying heavily, all China-related low caps could experience massive growth, potentially 10 to 1,000x. I scanned over it. So I just wanted to highlight this because if China starts really seeing capital flows into Bitcoin and some altcoins, there's a high likelihood, and I think I'm going to do a dedicated video on this, but I just wanted to share this with you. I think there's a high likelihood. Of course, Bitcoin is going to do well. I think Ethereum is going to do well, but there are coins out there that also have some affiliation or tied to or participate in some ways with China and the Chinese economy, but also businesses and etc. And so I'm going to do a video on this, on some of the projects that are in here. Self-Key, Neo. I can't believe Neo is still around, but I'm in my bubble here in the Western world. There could be a lot of good things on this. So it's these types of things that bring things to my attention that say, let's dive deeper. Let's sift through it. Let me bring you guys the data after it is sifted through. And really, I did Sushi Swap as well. Okay, we're going to see, Ontology, like them. We also got Hooked Protocol. Never heard of this. So we're going to look into it. We're not going to do it on today's show, but I just wanted to show you this story right here, not even the specific coins, but the fact that Bybit is getting registration in China opens up the potential for massive floodgates coming in to the crypto market. So let's pay attention to that. Now, moving on a little bit further, altcoins. We want this altcoin market to absolutely rip. We've been waiting on it. I've been stacking. I've been super excited and then super frustrated. If you felt that way at all, throw a 1 in chat. If you've been super excited, it's all taken off, only to have it reversed. And he's like, we've all been there. But when you have conviction and you have a strategy and you have a time horizon in mind, I told you what my time horizon was for that altcoin portfolio that I've been building and sharing with you guys along the way, starting February 7th. I waited way late in the game to show that it was possible to make some picks and basically take positions for the bull market with minimal moves and still have an incredible performant portfolio that late in the game. Not everybody buys in at the very bottom. Everybody needs to see that. You can wait for a key metric on a macro and say, all right, this is where I'm going to start layering in. That's what I did February 7th. And I'm still sticking with conviction on what I got there. So here we go. Altcoins. Can't understand why people panic so much at the moment. Altcoins have been doing a perfect Wyckoff accumulation for years, currently in the retest phase of a descending broadening wedge. So this is what we're looking at. This is I almost said ancient. This is a very well documented pattern from, I think his name's Richard Wyckoff, from like 150 years ago. Because yes, trading and investing did not start with crypto and Bitcoin. It also didn't start with the stock market. It started with Japanese rice traders hundreds of years ago, and they would track things on these bar charts. These candles were developed by Japanese to track the price of rice in the market so they could basically see the patterns of psychology and that sentiment between bullish and bearish narratives in the market. So when you start to understand that and realize it's not just candles that are randomly doing stuff, it's a tracking of the psychology of the market. Once you get that, you realize it is always trying to decide what the battle is between the bulls and the bears and whatever asset that you're looking at. In this case, this is what we're seeing. This is the schematic of what Wyckoff accumulation looks like, which means price breaks down into a zone, and then basically it chops up, chops down, chops up, chops down, chops up, tests the bulls. There's no more sellers. The bulls dominate. Because there's no more sellers, then you have the breakout. This is exactly what we're seeing in this, and he mapped it out perfectly. And then what we see is, look, this is phase phase D area. We did do this. We dived the chop. We are breaking to the upside, and now people are worried because we're having a little bit of a retrace. You have to remember in every asset, I don't care if it's oil, gold, Bitcoin, titanium, Amazon, it doesn't matter the asset. You're going to have rise, retrace, continuation. All assets to do that. The only healthy motion you can have in a bull market is rise, retrace, continuation. It's going to go on and so forth forever, and it's just going to continue doing that. So what we want to look for is defining areas. In this case, if this rises and it's all-time high, right? And we have a retrace, we're looking for, on the smaller time frame, signals that this is about to roll over and go back to the upside. And so on this, we're watching for the break of this level, this previous range high for that next, and then as this retraces down, now we have an established area for this to come down to for a potential bounce. Rise, retrace, continuation. That's what we need to pay attention to. And if we understand that and understand that this is a battle between the bulls and the bears, we can stop being so damn emotional because everybody's made money in this asset or this crypto or this meme coin, and then we get in and it reverses. We need to stop being so damn impatient. We need to look at the market and let the market develop in a meaningful way for us to interact with. In this case, pushes up, consolidation, breaks to the upside. Now this is a bullish pattern. These falling, broadening wedges, almost like a megaphone. This is essentially more accumulation. The bears are trying, the bulls bring it back. The bears are trying, the bulls bring it back. And now look, we've broken past this trend line on this, the altcoin market cap. This is a total 2. So it's every coin in crypto minus Bitcoin. This is broken out, and currently it's just sitting right there, looking like it's potentially ready to make the next move to the upside. Now, if this loses, it's not the end of the world. We get fake outs regularly, so we just adjust accordingly. So just remember right now, if you've been waiting, you might not be waiting that much longer before this market really starts to rip. I do think there's still a possibility that we get, a whipsaw movement and price action to the downside on Bitcoin, which would translate also into the altcoins having, a bit of a washout to go to the upside. But we're going to go through that when we dive into the TA, the technical analysis here in a little bit. But we also have other bullish things still happening. Paraguay to sell excess. And this is more, you guys have to understand, this is more to me than Paraguay selling excess hydro energy. This story is something that we're going to be seeing like dominoes fall in ways we can't. It's like innumerable ways to really see Bitcoin becoming integrated into the broader world and ecosystem of the economy. Paraguay to sell excess hydro energy. This is important because think about all that FUD, all that negative mainstream news media stuff, also from Greenpeace and people that don't have a fucking clue. I apologize for the language, but this is the truth. We need to learn from people that actually know what they're talking about, not because they're paid or they're just ignorant. In this case, Paraguay to sell excess hydro energy, miners as part of economic development. Great, cool. What does that mean? Well, the power station is one of the world's biggest, yet only 20% generated power is used. This is the story of almost every power plant everywhere because you have to produce power at the full capacity in order to meet load. And sometimes that load's very low, and sometimes that load is very high, meaning how much power is being used. So you have all this power that's being created, whether it's from fossil fuels or from green energy, that doesn't get used. It's just wasted. Now, what can we do? We can actually increase the output of all these different power plants and use Bitcoin miners on all of them to utilize any power that's not being used. You have the Bitcoin mining platforms that they have there. And facilities, basically utilizing that and turning the energy that they were already mining, so it's not costing them more, into a store of value of money and assets that they could put on treasury. In addition to that, say that in Texas 2 years ago when they had all those storms, everybody was without power because they couldn't meet the load requirements of the power grid. Well, had they strengthened the power grid and used that excess energy for Bitcoin, when that huge amount of load comes in, the demand for more power, they could turn off Bitcoin miners And now you have this freed up a huge amount of energy that was being monetized first and now being utilized when necessary. This is going to be the story as people start to realize past the nonsense that the mainstream media has been spinning for 15 years, only starting to change more positively because now we have BlackRock and Fidelity and VanEck and ARK Invest. And I mean, the list goes on and on. We have big money in the world now making money on Bitcoin. So you're going to start seeing positive news stories. And a lot of people are going to be years behind because they follow the nonsense that people like Jim Cramer and Peter Schiff and Elizabeth Warren, and the list goes on and on and on. This is so much more of an important story than just Paraguay selling excess hydro energy. But here we go. And again, another reason for Bitcoin. If you made $500,000 a day every single day since the Great Pyramids were built, you would have less than half of what the U.S. government has borrowed since last June. Think about that. The debt that we have, the money printing that we have to do, everything that is set up in our economy in the U.S. right now is set up for the dollar to go higher, aka devaluing everything that you have. Bitcoin is only set to go higher as value, because as dollar values go up, so too does the buying power, so too then does the demand into Bitcoin, because this is TruthNet, baby. We are on the right path being here, and I want to just commend every single one of you that took the leap before the masses. You did it. Hit that like button because we are on the right path. Another thing we got to talk about, Chainlink. I was talking with DZ and Josh and Nick earlier today. I think Chainlink is probably among the most valuable crypto protocols, ecosystems in the entire crypto ecosystem. Why? Because do you know what this is? You probably don't. This is going to be the story of crypto. Do you know what TCP/IP is? TCP/IP is the protocol that allows all of us to intermingle and talk and share and here on the internet. It was the standardized format for all of us to grow, engage, and connect and transact on the internet from, 30 years, 40 years ago, whatever. CCIP, cross-chain interoperability protocol, is the tokenized asset economy. This is important. Remember, RWA, the RWA narrative is one of the biggest narratives. It's starting to emerge as one of the biggest narratives. People are becoming aware of it. I've been sharing that with you all here for the last year and a half since I started this channel. We're almost at 50,000 subscribers. What are we at right now? I can't see. For some reason, it doesn't show me the deal, but almost at 50,000 subscribers, and we've done it about a little under a year and a half. It's because I bring you good tools, great resources, and an unbiased look at how we can navigate this market to invest, but also to trade, but also to really identify great projects and also understand what's coming. We've been talking about RWAs. Chainlink, everybody, last year, everybody thinks, oh, it's an Oracle. That's okay, that's not sexy. No, it's an Oracle that also tokenizes and does RWA. It's also being integrated with Swift and also has partnerships and approvals through Securitize. Chainlink is and smart contracts as well. It's one of the best protocols out there with one of the most integrated ecosystems across the whole of the crypto ecosystem. This is, I think, going to be one of those unsung heroes now, but those of you that have been stacking into this, I think this is going to be one of those coins that really absolutely, because it has traded very boring in some phases of this last two market cycles. I think this will be well into the 150s, possibility over 2. But when we're looking at this is one of those long-term plays. I feel very comfortable putting money here. And if I walked away for 7 years and coming back, I'm sure Chainlink will still be around. And I know that it would have a huge amount of appreciation because of how much utility it has. So let's pay attention to Chainlink. We'll dive into some tea on that in a few minutes. Here's some more on that. Link is going to be is going to lead bull market. It's not a question of if, but when. Trillions of dollars of value going on chain through CCIP. Chainlink partnered with largest banks. You don't even realize you're watching the reformatting of the real world assets going into blockchains. And a big part of that's going to be through Chainlink and through CCIP. So we're looking at this. Real world asset tokenization has surpassed DeFi in total assets. I mean, this is incredible. Just take this apart, break this down, and understand what's going on. Look at how big the derivatives market is, 1 quadrillion. Look at how big the global real estate market is, 380 trillion. Look how big stock market, 106 trillion, debt market, 100 trillion. All of these in some capacity, it's not going to be 100%, but a good portion of those things that are going to be around in 50 years, the natural evolution for technology and the natural evolution for different finance, areas of finance within global markets is, going to be tokenized on blockchain. And CCIP stands to have a huge, huge benefit from that. Nancy Kirk says, Chainlink, babe. That's right. So now look at here. We can also see Polkadot also stepping in. We've been talking about Polkadot. I've been breaking it down for you. Polkadot stepping into the RWA segment as a market leader. I've discussed before that DOT is heavily undervalued and are currently implementing RWA within the ecosystem. Polkadot has also released the JAM white paper, which is technically the Polkadot 2 that I've been talking to you all about. So first and foremost, Polkadot has been building significantly within the ecosystem as the SDK toolkit is one of the most used concepts within the crypto ecosystem. Through the SDK, developers are able to build their own projects without having the need to invest a lot into developers for providing a suitable blockchain. It's already there. From that perspective, Polkadot has been continuing to build over the past few years. Therefore, Gavin Wood has released the JAM white paper, which is technically 2.0. In order for that to be executed, blah, blah, blah. So here we go. RWA is the gateway for mass adoption for the blockchain industry. I agree with this. I think it's going to be a combination of this and gaming and a few other things, but this is going to be the major player. RWA is a gateway for mass adoption for the blockchain industry, as it's linking both the real world with the digital world through blockchains. That's what people need to realize. As we progressively gone more digital, everything that we own and assets and transact and store, it's all still remained analog, creating this huge amount of friction. But now when we get things tokenized on blockchain, you're blending those worlds and it's a natural fit. It's a massive market which has a total market capitalization, might reach 10 trillion by 2030. Right now, it's just barely starting up and provides a lot of opportunities and projects that essentially have launched their projects within this segment. So this is going to be a major, major, major boom in this ecosystem. And I think AI is going to play a part in that too. But let's talk about what's going on right now. Price is sitting still, it's not breaking out, is about to drop. Somebody posted on one of my a comment on one of my posts earlier today saying, you know, everybody's calling for 45K. I haven't seen one person call for 45K. So I actually replied, I said, well, you're a bit liberal there with that, everyone, because I don't see anybody calling for 45K right now. As I said a second ago, we could have a drawdown. I think it's going to be more of a washout, maybe to 66. It'd be shocking to me if we went down to the next level, which is 53,000. That would be more of a shock. But I think in this area, regionally where we're at, 68, 60, this zone is going to be the spring for that next leg up. But this is what we're seeing bullishly. 937 financial institutions bought Bitcoin through the ETFs during Q1. We're about to end Q2. Don't you think this would signal to that next round? It's like, oh, the path is clear. Oh, yeah, let's layer in. It's going to be very interesting to see what data we get at the end of June, when we went into July, when we get those those earning statements and the balance sheets. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF is the most successful ETF in the history of all ETFs. Trump embraces crypto. A state pension bought Bitcoin. JP Morgan, BNB Paribas bought Bitcoin. BNY Mellon, America's oldest bank, reported exposure to Bitcoin ETFs. Morgan Stanley about to allow 15,000 brokers to recommend Bitcoin ETFs to their clients. Don't you realize how much money is flowed in through these ETFs? And most registered investment advisors that are talking to the general populace, to the general people out there, they haven't even been pushing the ETF yet. That's what is crazy right now. We are set up for such an incredible bull run if we just mind our P's and Q's, sit on our hands, figure out where to stack, Bitcoin, ETFs, okay, supply on exchange. It's not at record lows, but it is at lows. OTC, desks running dry. FASB, accounting rules at the end of the year, making it easier for corporations to hold Bitcoin without, it's just the fair value accounting, essentially. Central banks are cutting rates. Meanwhile, Google searches retail interest is incredibly low. So we're seeing a huge divergence here in the buying pressure that has pushed Bitcoin up. And we have not yet really got any sort of comparably large spike in the interest of people searching about it. So the retail is not here yet. Things are about to get spicy. By the way, make sure you're following me here at Kelly Kellum, Kelly Kellam. Make sure there's only one of me. There's about 75 fake accounts out there. Make sure you spell my name right. I don't want people getting scammed. And then, of course, follow BitLab Academy here at Academy BitLab. We got quite a bit more to cover today, so don't worry. Don't go anywhere. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button and ding the bell. But let's talk about what's going on here. Okay, this is the percent supply in profit. I want you to notice this is very high. But when we enter the very strong portion of the bull market, very strong bullish trend, I want you to notice this pushed all the way up here and got rejected, came back down. Was the market cycle over? No. We had just had the pullback along the way. And then once we really got past this previous all-time high, right here, once this happened, you see this gets almost everybody's in profit, dip. Almost everybody in profit, dip. Almost everybody in profit, dip. Almost everybody in profit, dip. So similarly right here. Boom, 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 boom. So we're kind of starting that sort of mode right now. Almost everybody's in profit. 97% down. Now we're pushing back into this zone as we speak. This does not mean price won't dip from here, but it means if you see dips from here, it's opportunity. It's not, oh, I'm gonna, like, everything's lost. So I just wanted to highlight that for you. Similarly, I got this one right here. We still see, this is the exchange net position change. Are people moving coins out of cold storage onto exchange to sell? Or are they like, okay, my coins are here, I want to protect them because I'm not going to be trading for a while, and they move them off of exchange. So what we're seeing in this, similarly right here, still a lot of coins moving off of exchange until this really starts pushing up. We kind of get some back and forth, but we're seeing this setup still, even at these highs. People aren't saying, oh, it's almost over, let's put the coins back on exchange so we can sell them. No, there's still a reduction of coins on exchange. So things are looking good. So let's go ahead and look at the liquidation levels here and talk about it. What was I talking about last week? Everybody. What was I talking about last week? When we were looking at this, we have the liquidation levels above and below. Last week, we had this area. Actually, we can actually pull it up. And come over here, Kelly Kellum. There we go. I'm not making it up, guys. I share with you the alpha that I see and that I find because I want you all to be in the know. What did I say? Right here. Bitcoin showing a rising wedge pattern. If it breaks the support, blah, blah. We could be having a further move down. That's actually not the tweet. Hold on. There's a better tweet that I specifically cover the exact thing that I was seeing in the market about the setup for a move to the downside. It is, that's not it. It's a little bit further back. Oh, my face is off. My bad. All right, look how beautiful that is. Golly. Come on, man. Here we go. Super bullish on Bitcoin. Caution here for whipsaw. Here's why. This was shared on June 5th, so 5 days ago. The open interest is ticking up. This is open interest. How many people are betting leverage, right? This is just open interest. Could be positive, could be negative. So the open interest ticking up as a positive premium persists. So positive premium means the majority of people are going long because it's becoming more expensive to go long. They try to disincentivize it by making it more expensive to take a leverage trade. So because of that, it's a recipe for a small correction in Bitcoin health check. This was when price was at $71,600. You can also see the liquidation levels of Bitcoin showing a $12 billion positive delta and a setup for a quick flush out to the downside. This is what we're talking about. Look at how high this level is up here. This was pushing up and this was getting very high, $12 billion positive delta. And we see open interest and derivatives and the positive premium. There was a recipe there saying, okay, guys, it's getting really hot. I don't care if I have a glove on my hand. I cannot hold this pan any longer. We got to set it down on the stove. We got to cool off. We got to flush out some of these over exuberant individuals. And what do we see on the price action? What do we see on the price action? This actually has moved down. We got that flush out all the way up here from $71,900, almost $72,000. And then what date was this? This was the 7th. So it took about 2 days. And then we finally got that too much over exuberance. Boom, this flush to the downside, exactly like we were outlining. And I shared with you, not only here on the live stream, but on my Twitter and in the Discord. So we got the flush out. Now we built a base, and we're actually not getting a huge amount of positions now with basically flush out zones below us. Most of the color is above us up here, not just the lines, but see how bright they get or how dark they're getting. It means that there's a lot more liquidity above us and below us. And what do we see? We can actually come here to max liquidity, come back. We can see that this got down to about a minus 9 negative delta, 9 billion. So this was setting up. Okay, flushed them out. Cool. Now we have a little bit of this doesn't have to go all the way down to the bottom, right? Especially in a strong bullish trend. This flush out to the downside, reset a bit. And now we are set up to where we might be able to start making move to the upside. So let's look at an update on this. This is that same thing that we were just looking at a second ago. What chart was that on? This is on, yeah, daily. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm looking at the same thing. Now looking here, we see, look at this. The open interest is actually rising here, but the premium is shrinking, suggesting that there are some people that came in and were layering in some shorts. This is good. This coming down and this coming up is setting up a little bit more of an equilibrium. But what we'd like to see is this actually kind of subside a little bit also. The market keeps shaking people out until they stop getting super like, let's go 40x long and then 40x short. No, let's have some healthy freaking price movement. If you're going to go leverage, do it on 3%, 5% on a small portion of a dedicated amount that you specifically use to do that. You don't do it with your entire portfolio. But this rolling over and coming down a bit is good. It's kind of getting us back into a somewhat healthy spot. Now, before we dive in, we're going to do some TA here. I do want to shout out our channel sponsors brought to you, powered by Arculus, the best crypto cold storage solution out there. One tap, 3 different security metrics, your biometrics, your PIN, the card itself. Don't worry if you ever lose the card. As convenient as it is, when you lose a card, all you have to do, if you get a new card, you basically load your wallet onto that card. The card is just a security access point. Your crypto isn't physically, stored on the card. It's just a security access point that you utilize. And for that reason, it's one of the best and most secure crypto cold storage solutions out there. Head over to getarculus.com. Use code LAB10. That's LAB10 for 10% off. Make sure you are securing your crypto. Make sure you're secure in your future. Now let's dive in. Let's talk about some of these other things. We're going to talk about Bitcoin here for a moment. Then we're going to dive into Ethereum and Cardano and the ASI content as well, because we got some crypto, some altcoin stuff we got to discuss. As exciting as Bitcoin is right now, this market is setting up for some pretty large movements to the upside. So we're going to dive into that in just a moment. But let's look at Bitcoin. Let's get out to the 3-day. Let's double click on this. If your thing is ever distorted like this, you're like, you don't have to drag it, just double click. Goes auto, puts it all on there. And we can see here, we got a bit of a rising wedge here. And this is the 2 most important lines I'm watching is this descending trend line right here and this horizontal trend line right here. Because this horizontal trend line was the target out of the pattern that we saw over here. Now, this is a descending trend line that we've already kind of tapped through, but we've sucked back down below. But this is going to be an interesting zone when price gets into it. But as it stands right now, I just want you to notice, money flows positive. Great. The VWAP has come down, is kind of starting to round, starting to show some weakness with intention for further downside. However, the stochastics are rolling over at the moment. So this, but the RSI at the same time is looking like it's trying to build strength. So it looks a little indeterminable on the 3-day. Let's go down to the 12-hour and see where we're at. Okay. So now you see the RSI has already started rolling over. The stochastics are starting to round out. We have positive money flow. The VWAP, this yellow line right here, is curving back. It's trying to make its way back up. But now what brought the dip? What we just talked about with all the open interest and the leverage. But if you're not looking at any of that, you can also see the momentum from this point right here where my mouse is to this point. We see we have a lower, basically have a bearish divergence on the momentum where this peaks right here. And this is lower. Why is that so small? It's so small. So you see this is angled down and this is basically flat. So there was a little weakness coming into the zone and we're at a known resistance level. We got rejected. Now we got a little bit of that bear trap that I was talking to you all about, came down, wicked below it, tried to get people, oh, it's breaking down. We go, and you just jump impulsively. You jump impulsively, you're literally just handing your money to somebody else. What do we see? Price actions come back up. Now let's get down to the 4-hour and talk about what's going on more locally. So currently, money flow came back positive. VWAP, look at this, tested down and then bounced, angled back up. Money flow positive. There's a little bit of hesitation here though, because we can see the price actions coming right into this trend line that starts back here May 1st. Found support here twice, found support here twice, found some support and then lost it. We've already rejected once. We're kind of tapping on it again. We need this to break up into this zone to, if we're having a hope for a continuation to the upside. Because as it stands right now, what else do we have? We have this rising level of previous support, now resistance. But look at this. Price action was able to cut through this weekly VWAP, yellow line. Great. But it's being held hostage right here by the trend signal line, which is red, and it's directly above it, which is perfectly confluent with where this previous support and now resistance is. So this may have a little bit of a test in this area, meaning like a little bit of work to be done and then a push through. But they're trying. We see the volume right here. There was some attempt to get that up. So we need the buyers to come in this zone and not start to capitulate if this comes down. So as it stands right now, what I'd say on Bitcoin is, I mean, this looks good, but we can't ignore that it also has formed a little bit of a broadening wedge. See that broadening wedge? So what we're seeing here on this 4-hour chart, we need this to push up, find support, and continue. As it stands right now, I'd be watching for a test down to 69.6, 69.7. If we lose that, then we're likely coming all the way back down here to the low 69s. And ultimately, we don't want to lose this sort of level, this low 69 range, because then that would mean that we are going to test a bit lower and test down into, you know, test a little bit lower. Ultimately, we still have this marked out, this 65.2 zone. Let's go ahead and see what that is. 65.2 zone, which is a lot of rejection, support, a lot of stuff in this region. And also, remember the liquidity we talked about when we're looking at what was going on the price here, liquidation heat map. So where was that level? The other day, remember we had a lot, 65, and this is where the liquidity was. But because the price and market has moved, now we have a very hot zone directly above us at 68,350. So let's look at that on the chart. 68,350 would be right in this zone right here. Come on. This is where we had a bounce, rejection, a little bit of a wick above, but rejection here, bounce, support. So this is ultimately the zone that I'd be watching. If this does wick down into, this is where I'd like to see a strong bounce from. Clear that liquidity and then go if the price does break down. If this is able to carry through, and remember, we have some big things this week. We have reports. We have CPI, we have FOMC, the dot reports, and a lot of different things in that regard. We just had NVIDIA split, the 10-to-1 stock split. We have the merger that's going on with Ocean Fetch and AGIX. There's a lot of things on the table right now that not every one of those is going to directly impact Bitcoin. But as we're watching this right here, and we're wondering, okay, is this going to break through now? Well, while we also know that we have big economic data coming out this week, we may have to wait through Wednesday into Thursday for that move to happen. So if this does get rejected and we're just traveling between this, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes understanding the timeline context will give you a little bit more pause if this does pull down a little bit and we find support here and push up. We understand that economically, especially now that bigger players are involved in the market, bigger players are trading on more legacy data. They're not looking at on-chain. BlackRock isn't going, what's the exchange net position change? They're going, okay, what's the data? When and where are we going to push capital out? When and where are we going to incentivize sales pushes on their different Bitcoin financial products, etc.? Some of that's going to have to, and remember, they have their own report systems too, email lists and etc., where they're giving data to also help shape their investors and how they participate in the market. So I do think it's likely we'll have a little bit of choppiness between now and Wednesday and Thursday, but things are looking still, remember, things are still looking incredibly bullish. This is a giant bull flag, it looks like. So let's just chill out a little bit. Now let's talk a little bit about, where is it at? That's not what I want to look at yet. That's not what I want. This right here. So balances of both Bitcoin and Ethereum on exchanges continue falling. It's the lowest. Some people say all-time low. They don't understand how the markets work. Apparently, it's the lowest in 4 years. That supports this idea of supply shock. We also had the new Bitcoin, basically the Bitcoin halving, which cuts new minted Bitcoin in half from 6.25 per block, which is every 10 minutes, to only 3.125. That has not manifested itself yet in the price action, but we're also seeing a reduction in the available supply on exchanges. This is all bullish news. And so when we're talking about it and we're looking at Ethereum, we can see a couple of different things that we measured. I measured this last week. I measured this trend line, this basically symmetrical triangle. The measurement out of this would be right here, basically to testing the previous range, not all-time high, but this previous range high, 4,086. But then the target on this flagpole would take us all the way up to almost $4,800. So we have two targets we can pay attention to here once this starts working its way back up. Because remember, this was a flush out. And look, I didn't even notice this. This was the area that I mapped out last week before all this broke down, this 35.72 sort of zone. And this candle right here went down to 35.75. I'm looking right here, OHLC, open, high, low, close. When you put your mouse over each candle, it gives you all that data. So over this candle, 35.75, and look at essentially where I had this marked out. This is exactly where we bounced. Let's go ahead and pay attention to over the next week, again, with that economic data, with Bitcoin and with CPI and with FOMC. I think if this can start to resolve back to the upside, what we're going to want to watch, and actually is this projected trend line. Let's go ahead, copy this, copy, paste. Now move this up here. Now we make this a little bit lighter orange. There we go. So basically $3,800. When this pushes back up, we're going to be fighting all of this price action previously. You don't want to see this move up, because remember, if just moving up there doesn't mean it's going to break through. You don't want to see this move up and get rejected and confirm that and move further down. So we need to pay attention as this pushes up into here. I'd be a little hesitant until this breaks through, finds support, and then continues the upside. And then we can get back to looking at these other two targets that we're talking about. Now, where is the boom? This is from Yoda. Ethereum will run pretty hard in the coming bull rally. This is what we've seen. 1,400, 4,800, almost 4,900. And if we extrapolate that, this is a 3.5x. If we reduce that a bit this time, which it may be higher, maybe lower, but effectively things tend to diminish over time. But however, we do have new institutional money that will likely be coming in from the Ethereum spot ETFs when they get approved, but let's still be conservative. I mean, we could get all the way up here to 13,000. Could go beyond 17, 18,000. The point here isn't the target. The point here is looking at the shape of this move. This is the next extrapolation. It's going to be somewhere here, somewhere in this. I would say $8,000 to $12,000 is probably a pretty conservative estimate about where Ethereum can go. But it's not just Ethereum in this market. We're seeing some really big things coming from Cardano, which has been sleeping, it feels like. So let's pull up Cardano and look at what's going on here. We have this, look at this massive downtrend, flat bottom here. This is a little bit ominous about a potential breakdown. But when we see that there's positive news press and evolutions in the fundamentals of Cardano, this is good. I believe, let me come back over here. I'm going to go to DZ's profile. DZ shared something from, I think it was Thinking Crypto, which is, this is another thing you can look at as an investor and as a trader. Is right here. Yeah. Is ADA coiling up for a big move? Tony Edwards from Thinking Crypto says, good morning. Here are the top 10 trending tokens on social media. Why the hell does this matter? We just want to trade one about, because this gives you insight into the sentiment and the community around these assets. Here's the 10, top 10. So we got Cardano #1, Bitcoin, then Loopring. I think that's LRC's Loopring. Manta. So what we're seeing here is probably partially right now because of this next major upgrade. Cardano's Volta era nears with June hard fork milestone. So what we're seeing here is development of the where we got this. Here we go. Hoskinson announced on X Cardano's upcoming change fork or Chang fork is approaching quickly, and Cardano node will likely reach version 9 this month. They're already like 8.92 or something like that. This means that Cardano blockchain is ready for the hard fork, is now waiting for, right now they're just waiting for 70% of the stake pool operators to install the new node. They have to upgrade their software. Everybody has, they have to get to a certain threshold, and then it essentially automatically happens. Development phases of Cardano known as eras, blah, blah, blah. So what we're looking at here is it's been nearly 10 years for some of us on this remarkable journey. I can't believe that in a single decade, we built a nation. Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of you all. Cardano gives us hope for industry and the world. Let's spend the next decade making a big dent in the universe. So what's going on here is this allows for basically the most advanced blockchain governance system, which you can use for annualized budgets, you can use for treasuries. This is going to be for communities, for governments, for industries, allowing a truly decentralized blockchain that every user, every holder has voting rights and helping shape what those things are going to be, which will help the blockchain ecosystem enable a decentralized civilization spanning the entire world with millions of residents. So great upgrade coming from them. So let's go ahead and look at Cardano. Let's talk about it. This is looking like it wants to signal a breakdown. However, I would sort of tap back at that. The reason I say this is because remember, we cannot ignore 2017 into 2018. What do we see? Let's go ahead and delete all this Fibonacci's. Remember, this is a great example right here. Downtrend, flat bottom, right? This is a descending triangle, descending resistance, flat bottom, and then the bottom falls out. This pattern predicted that based on that price action. So when we come back to Cardano, although it's on a much smaller time frame, we do have to acknowledge that we're getting a similar setup with this right here. But let's just be bullish, and let's know that we have an opportunity for this to go lower. And I'd be looking down here at like 38 cents or so if that were to happen. But if this does push up into this zone here, 48, 49 cents, then the next level up where we'd be watching for would basically be in line with all of these lows right here, up here in the 50, 57 cent sort of range. And once we take that out, if the price action pushes up, rejects, coils, and then moves, then we can really expect the price action to start making its way up, you know, as everybody wants it to. Because Cardano is one of those coins, people start hating on it, starts performing poorly, and then all of a sudden when it starts running, it does massive gains. But Cardano never makes huge gains. It never makes huge gains. All right, well, let's go ahead and look at Cardano last cycle. You tell me if this was a huge gain or not. That is a 35x, 3,542% move. It's boring until it's not. Remember that. Now we also have to talk about this right here. Where is it at? Here we go. Fetch. How many of you hold Fetch? How many of you hold Ocean? How many of you hold Singularity, AGIX? Well, the countdown has begun on June 13th. That's 3 days from now. The Artificial Superintelligence Alliance, ASI, will complete a historic token merge, bringing together the powerhouses of Singularity, Fetch, and Ocean Protocol under one unified token, ASI. Why this matters? Unprecedented scale and power. The ASI token will operate across the newly combined decentralized AI network. This is awesome. Newly combined decentralized AI network, representing the largest open source AI initiative. Enhanced token utility, benefit from a versatile token that integrates the strengths of all three leading AI projects. So rather than competing and maybe trying to add something that somebody else, no, you guys got some cool shit. I got some cool shit. Let's bring this together, and where our strengths are, we can build them together. This is going to be major. Key benefits, seamless transaction. ERC20 tokens will be available for swapping FET, AGIX, Ocean to ASI via secure audited migration contract. Community driven, over 200,000 token holders will contribute to a decentralized future. Strategic vision, propel the development of AGI to new heights, paving the way towards superintelligence. Important dates, June 11th. FET is renamed ASI. Migration bridge opens for FET tokens. So I'm going to dive into this. I'll make some content for you guys to show exactly how we can do this to make sure that you don't mess this up. Man, dumped all your fetch weeks ago. Why would you do that leading into something so big in the news narrative around this? And then also participate in the migration process to secure ASI tokens. So keep an eye out for further announcements. Make sure if you're going to follow this protocol, I'm going to do it right here. I'll copy and paste this. Make sure you're following the right one so you don't go and just click random links. That's a token merge. I'll give you the right links. We'll make sure that we do this together and do it in a meaningful way. Embrace the future. Yeah, so this is great. So let's go ahead and look at Fetch. We'll look at Fetch, Ocean, and AGIX, and then we'll wrap this up. Everybody, make sure you're hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. If you like this kind of content with tools, resources, community, unbiased look, how we can really dominate this market, I'd love if you join us here. And by the way, before we do this last bit of TA, make sure if you want to learn how to do this TA, if you want to learn how to navigate the markets, if you want to learn how to degen and go and trade meme coins, if you want to learn how to stack a portfolio, make sure you head over to lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. You get 15 days for free. I'm going to be closing this deal soon. So join 15 days free. I'm putting this in the live chat right there. Come and join. Hop in there with us. And if you don't want to do that, you just want maybe some of the member streams, the private member streams, join the BitLab YouTube membership, because I share those member streams with those members for you to watch there as well. BitLab Academy, lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. And when you join here, the next page right after that is if you want to upgrade and get the indicators and all the courses and stuff as well. So take advantage of it's all reduced pricing for now. It's still on that halving deal that we had from the Bitcoin halving. So let's go ahead and look at Fetch, talk about it. Are we not on log? There we go. So it's a little bit concerning. Let's see. A little bit concerning here. We got a little bit of, it's almost a rising channel, almost a rising wedge. So this is what we're seeing right here. This is on the 3-day chart. So let's get down to the 4-hour. We're just getting some context there. Let's drag this a little further out. There is a possibility that there's a little bit of a sell the news event that happens with this merger, and then sort of rocket ship up after that. So what I'd be watching here on Fetch, I'll be watching, let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit so we can see some of the data here. See negative money flow. There's going to be a little probably hesitation around such a big merge. Some people will take profits because they're not sure, if you have a hiccup, you have an issue, you have all those different things, you have to pay attention to that. So for me, I'm not selling, but what I would do is I'd be looking for opportunities. For instance, like right here. And yeah, I mean, I think coming down into this zone would be a great buying opportunity. That's not a small fall either. This would be, I mean, that's a 30-40% dip. So this would be great. The funny thing is, you think worst case scenario. For me, this would be best case scenario because this means I could scoop up what's going on. But we're going to have to pay attention. We're still, okay. Yeah, it's on Fetch. This is going to change over to ASI. So we're going to have to track what happens as these merge because now you have a stronger tokenomics, right? Much stronger fundamentals blending all these. So let's just pay attention. In fact, because of that, let's not even look at the other two because there's going to be some interesting price behavior as this merge sort of unwinds and all those sort of things happen. So again, everybody, shout out to Arculus, powered by Arculus, #1 cold storage wallet out there. Make sure you head over to getarculus.com. Head over to lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. Come and join us there. We're going to be doing a lot more member streams this week as well. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I hope you all have a wonderful day. We're going to send you everybody. Let's do something. Will you mob with me? We're going to mob over to the DGen Alpha channel. I think they're on. We're going to mob over to the DGen Alpha channel. Yeah, right now, let's mob over there. Let's all say, let's just drop some BitLab coats. Shout out Taco. Let's just go mob his stream. He's trying to get that started. He has great content. I learned my DGen stuff from him, by the way. I'm like, Doe, what contract? So let's head over there right now, over to that DGen Alpha stream. You can just stay on this. It will forward you right there. We'll see you there in a second. I love you guys. Adios, muchachos. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in to BitLabAcademy.com.